I was born in New York to Cuban parents who immigrated to the United States in the 1960s. I went to the State University of New York, College at New Paltz in upstate New York. Then I went to St. John's University School of Law in Queens, New York. Moved to Houston, Texas after graduating from law school. At our firm, which was established in 2005, we represent corporate clients and emerging enterprises in transactional matters. We're a business law firm. We help clients with transactional matters, so we put together contracts in instances where a client may want to buy a business or sell a business, and we negotiate commercial transactions. Additionally, we serve as government affairs lawyers, where we interface with governmental agencies on behalf of our corporate clients. Some of our clients include companies like AT&T, Southwest Airlines, United States Gypsum, Aramark, and United Healthcare. I believe my interest and passion about Cuba started at a young age. When I was a child, I would watch my mother collect clothing, shoes, and medicine throughout the entire year, load it up in luggage, and take it with her to Cuba. And she would do this because our family in Cuba did not have clothes, shoes, or needed clothes, shoes, and medicine. As a child, my mother would force my siblings and I to eat all of our food. Of course, as a child, we just wanted to eat enough to be satisfied and go outside and play. But it wasn't until I went to Cuba in 1992, which was in the midst of the special period during the collapse of the Soviet Union, where all the subsidies to Cuba were almost gone. And it wasn't until that moment that I understood why my mother would force my siblings and I to eat all our food. And so I actually did my fieldwork paper on ending the embargo in Cuba, and that's when this crusade, if you will, began. The first trip that I took to Cuba in 1992 as a college student was a paradigm shift for me. I went again last year. In fact, I went to Cuba 4 times last year. The first trip was very special because I had the opportunity to go to Cuba with my mother and meet family members for the very first time that I've never met before, including a half brother. Later on, I went back to Cuba with a Houston delegation consisting of corporate executives from the Houston area, which was spearheaded by Mayor Sylvester Turner and Jamie Roots, who is the chairman of the Greater Houston Partnership and president of the Houston Texans. I attended the Cuba Energy and Infrastructure Conference with a corporate client, and later went to Cuba again in October to visit with the U.S. Embassy in Havana in preparation for another trip that we're planning with corporate executives from the United States to meet with high-level executives in the Cuban government who represent various industries. Once the United States announced rapprochement with Cuba, many of my corporate clients called to ask about how do you enter the Cuban marketplace. I then met with Cuban ambassador to the United States, Jose Ramon Cabañas, and he agreed that he would help facilitate that process. I was later invited to the White House to attend a business briefing on how to do business in Cuba. After that, I was invited to conduct interviews with various magazines, journals, and newspapers on doing business in Cuba, and from there, things simply just progressed. Next month, I'll be speaking at the American Bar Association conference on doing business in Cuba. A week after that, I'll be at the Cuba Oil and Gas Conference with some clients. And at the end of the year, our firm will be facilitating a delegation of U.S. executives to Cuba to meet with a number of ministers from various industries in the Cuban marketplace.